Street Augustine's was so quiet I could hear my own heartbeat. I hid in the organ loft, watching my sister walk down the aisle in a white lace dress. "Don't come, you'll make him uncomfortable," she had said. When the groom turned, my breath caught in my throat. It was Evan Rook, my legal husband for the past 2 years. Everything suddenly clicked into place. Why I was left off the guest list, why my mother had been so evasive, why my father looked at me with such pity. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just opened my phone, switched on the recorder, and began to collect the evidence. That afternoon, the Austin sky was so still it felt like the world was holding its breath. I stood before Street Augustine's, holding a wedding invitation that didn't bear my name, a private ceremony, family only, my mother had texted. Apparently, I no longer counted as part of the family. But their silence, the confusion in my father's eyes, and Evan's commonplace business trips told me something was deeply wrong. Slipped in through a side door used by the sound crew. The soft melody of a piano filled the air, the sanctuary glowing under the lights. I made my way up to the organ loft, a perfect vantage point where no one would notice me. Below, my sister Sloane strolled down the aisle in her white lace gown, our father holding her arm, his face beaming with pride. My mother dabbed at her eyes. I saw everyone smiling, clapping, and taking photos. It was a perfect, fraudulent scene. The groom turned. The first sensation was shock. Evan Rook, my legal husband, was standing at the altar, smiling at Sloane as if she were the only person he had ever loved. A dry, shattering sound echoed in my mind, like breaking glass. "Am I blind?" I muttered, my hands trembling so badly I almost dropped my phone. I opened the recording app and pressed the video button. No screaming, no interruptions. I wanted the truth recorded, second by second. From my vantage point, I could see everything clearly. The ring he wore was a replica of our wedding band, and the song they chose was the exact one I had played at our wedding 2 years prior. No one in my family looked up. No one saw me. They played their parts, and I recorded it all. The officiant's voice rose. "If anyone objects, speak now, or forever hold your peace." I whispered the word to myself. "I do." The camera in my hand remained steady. I zoomed in on Evan's face and saw him glance toward my parents' pew. That look wasn't love, it was complicity. I knew then that I no longer had a place in this family. But I had the truth, and I had the proof. The ceremony ended to a roar of applause. I stopped the recording and left the loft. No tears, no curses. Just a plan, beginning to form. Outside, the afternoon wind was picking up. I glanced at the sign in front of the church. "Love is patient, love is kind." I let out a soft, bitter laugh. Love might be patient, but justice isn't. I slipped the phone into my pocket and walked away. My mind was already mapping out my first steps: bank statements, receipts, credit card histories, and an article that all of Austin would soon be reading. That evening, I returned to my small apartment on Riverside Drive. 2 coffee mugs still sat on the kitchen counter, an old habit Evan kept. "I like drinking with you, even if it's just over the phone," he'd always said. I used to believe him. Now I suspected he was drinking with Sloane. I opened my laptop and logged into our joint bank account. The transaction history was a steady stream of hotels, restaurants, and jewelry stores at Barton Creek. I noted every charge, took screenshots, and saved all the relevant information. A part of me still wanted to believe it was a misunderstanding, but every detail shredded that hope. Around midnight, my mother called. "It's done." "Know who he is, Mom?" "You need to rest." Her voice was tired, but not surprised. She knew. I hung up and tossed the phone onto the couch. The next morning, I went to the hospital. The kids in the pediatric ward were running around, giggling. I worked, smiled, and chatted as if everything were normal. But in my mind, fragmented memories pieced themselves together. The family meetings I wasn't invited to, the dinner where Sloane said, "Evan is such a gentleman," while my parents just smiled. Remembered the time Evan said he had a conference in Dallas. "Just 3 days, I'll call every night," he texted. And he did call. However, the echo on the line was strange, like that of a hotel lobby with live music. "Where are you?" I'd asked. He just laughed. "A conference room with a mini orchestra." I was foolish enough to believe him. Now, I realized every conference room was a date. Every hotel bill was under the name E. Rook plus S. Whitaker. Lunch, I met my cousin, Emma. She asked. "Months. But now I have proof." "What are you going to do?" "They can't deny it." Emma nodded, her eyes a mix of pity and respect. "Be careful, Maya. Our family can't handle a scandal." I gave a faint smile. They already created one. That night, I started a list. Statements from Lone Star Credit Union. Receipts from Hawthorne Ridge Estate. 3. Sloane's wedding photos from social media. 4. My marriage certificate with Evan. I organized it into a folder. On the cover, I wrote a single phrase, Case 1. Every keystroke, every sheet of paper, was a cut into the perfect facade they had built. I didn't need to scream, and I didn't need anyone to believe me. I just needed the truth, sealed with ink, dates and signatures. Tomorrow, I will see an old acquaintance, Harper Klein, a divorce attorney I once assisted at the hospital. I knew she was as cold as steel, and that was exactly what I needed. 3 days later, I drove to my parents' house in the Brookhaven suburbs. The iron gate opened slowly. In the yard, wedding bouquets were still crammed hastily into glass vases. The smell of cheap perfume mixed with deceit. Knocked. My father opened the door, his voice awkward. "Maya, you shouldn't be here right now. I just want to ask one question. Did you know who Evan was?" He avoided my gaze. "What's done is done. Don't stir things up." My mother appeared behind him. "We just want peace, Maya. What good comes from making this difficult?" Clutched the folder tighter. "Justice, Mom." No one said another word. I turned and walked away. The door closed behind me, shutting a chapter in a family album that had already burned. On the drive back, I turned on the radio. The host was reporting on the wedding of a successful real estate power couple. They called it a fairy tale wedding. I let out a dry laugh. This fairy tale was written with my money. That afternoon, I met Harper Klein at her office, Klein and Partners. She placed the folder on the glass table, turning each page. "Are all these statements from the joint account?" "Yes. The total comes to nearly $12,000. Used it for a fraudulent wedding." The decorations. Harper steepled her fingers, her voice low. "If this is accurate, it's dissipation of marital assets. We can file for divorce immediately." I nodded. "I want more than that. I want the truth to be public." She looked at me, her expression unreadable. "I'll handle the legal side. But going public requires a strategy. No one believes a victim who loses control." "Be in control," I replied, my voice firm. That evening, I stopped by the coffee shop where Emma was waiting. "Are you really going through with this?" she asked. "They deleted me from the family, but they couldn't delete my bank records. I'll lose everything." I took out my phone and replayed the video from the church. Evan's face as he recited his vows, Sloane's eyes as she accepted the ring, and my parents clapping. I played it in slow motion. Every frame was evidence. Every smile was a lie. Emma was silent for a long time. "You're not backing down, are you?" I replied, "Not this time." As I left the cafe, it started to rain. I stood under the awning, watching the water wash away the forgotten wedding flowers someone had left on the curb. The rain smeared the makeup of a bride in a photo hanging in a shop window. I took a picture of it, the cover for case 2. Beneath the image I wrote, "They wanted me to disappear. Now, they're the ones who will be seen." News of Sloane and Evan's wedding was all over social media. Photos of them appeared on every local blog. White dress, fresh flowers, radiant smiles. The captions referred to them as Austin's power couple of the year. I saved every single picture, not for the pain, for the evidence. The next morning, I returned to Street Augustine Chapel. The cleaning staff was gathering flowers and linens. A man from the sound crew asked, "Are you a friend of the bride?" "No, I just forgot something in the organ loft." I climbed back to my old spot. Light streamed through the stained glass windows, illuminating the altar. I opened my phone and rewatched the wedding video. The picture was sharp. The audio was clear. In the frame, my mother handed Sloane the wedding veil, the very one I had picked out last year. I made a note, "Veil, Maya's gift, proof of complicity." The church bells chimed, pulling me from my thoughts. I went downstairs and ran into the woman clearing the flowers. "The bride was so beautiful, wasn't she?" she asked. "But sometimes beauty is a lie." I left and drove to Hawthorne Ridge Estate, the venue where they held the reception. The manager mistook me for a member of the crew and handed me the expense sheet, which totaled over $12,000, paid with the E. Rook joint account card. I photographed it. The second piece of evidence. Evening, I sent everything to HarperCline. "We have enough for a divorce filing," she said. "It's not enough. I need to prove premeditated fraud. If you want the media involved, we need independent verification. I know who can do it. Dana Cho, a reporter for the Austin Ledger." Harper nodded. "Stay silent until the article is out. All communications go through me." "Well, I don't want noise. I want the truth." That night, I sat alone. On the screen, the wedding video played continuously. Evan's face, Sloane's smile, my parents' expressions. I edited the clips, aligning the frames with the bank statements to create a minute-by-minute timeline. At the end of the video, I added white text on a black screen. "No one hides a fake wedding forever. Every vow has a timestamp." Save the file as The Reveal, MP4. The lights outside my window were still on, the city still peaceful, but on my hard drive, the entire truth was now encoded. Tomorrow, Dana would receive the first video, and from that moment on, the story would no longer be theirs. Cho called back in less than 2 hours. "I watched the video. It's so real it's hard to breathe." "You believe it?" "Believing isn't enough. I need independent evidence to publish." I forwarded her the complete set of bank statements, receipts, and a scan of my marriage certificate. Dana read through them, her voice dropping. "My God, they used the joint account for the entire wedding. This isn't just betrayal, it's financial fraud." "No," I replied, "and I want it all exposed." She paused, her tone becoming serious. "If this article goes live, there's no turning back, Maya. I've already been burned. There's nothing left to lose." That afternoon, Harper finalized the petition. In the divorce filing, she listed 37 fraudulent charges, each accompanied by photos and original statements. I'll file it with the court tomorrow morning, Harper said, her eyes fixed on the documents. But remember, when the story breaks, they will fight back. Your family, their lawyers, the media. The more light there is, the less room for shadows. I left her office at 7 p.m. as a light rain began to fall. In the car, my phone rang. It was my mother. I hesitated, then answered. Maya, what are you doing? The whole city is talking. Only just begun, Mom. No, they destroyed it. I'm just bringing the truth to light. I hung up before I could hear any more pleading. I didn't sleep that night. I opened my laptop and documented every milestone. The first time Evan lied, the first call from Sloan, the first time my parents started avoiding me. Each detail was a scalpel dissecting the past. Next morning, a text from Dana appeared. Article runs Sunday. Working title, The Wedding That Shouldn't Exist. Brace yourself. I stared at the screen, my heart beating steadily. No excitement, no fear. Just the quiet resolve of someone who had gone too far to turn back. Days later, the article hit the front page. A wedding photo of Sloan and Evan took up half the cover. The headline was massive. Bride marries another woman's husband, the betrayal rocking Austin. The article quoted legal documents, showed wedding photos, bank statements, and my marriage certificate. Harper confirmed the filings were legitimate. I gave only one statement. I don't want revenge. I want the truth to have a voice. Within 12 hours, social media erupted. Comments flooded in. So strong. Evan and Sloan are a perfect match for a jail cell. Them all. No joy, no satisfaction, just relief. Harper called that evening. The court has accepted the petition. You've won, at least on paper. Only on paper, I said. The real part is just beginning. I hung up and looked out the window. The city was still bright, but this time the light didn't hurt my eyes. Tomorrow, Evan would be served, and I would stand before them, no longer the family outcast, but the final witness to the truth. Dana's article spread faster than I could have imagined. By Monday morning, it had been picked up by the Austin Chronicle, the Dallas Post, and even a few national news sites. The name Evan Rook was trending. His company issued a statement. Mr. Rook has been suspended from all duties pending an internal investigation. The final sentence read, "We do not tolerate unethical behavior." I read every word without a smile. This wasn't a victory. It was a consequence. We're called at 9 a.m. Are you watching the news? He's been suspended. And Sloan was dropped by her PR firm. They don't want their name tied to the scandal. Good. She once told me not to tarnish the family image. I think it's tarnished enough now. Noon, my mother called. This time, I listened. Maya, the press is outside the house. Can you please make it stop? I didn't start it. I only answered with the truth. They're saying Sloan is pregnant. Think of the child. I'm thinking about the child a great deal. That's why its mother needs to learn about consequences. Then, my mother's broken sobs. We've lost everything. No, Mom, you only lost a false image. The real things are still there if you dare to look. Ended the call. In the afternoon, Harper forwarded a message from Evan's lawyer. Our client proposes a private settlement in exchange for the withdrawal of the public divorce petition and the retraction of all financial data. I texted back a single reply. Denied. The court will hear my story. That evening, Dana met me at a small cafe by the river. Calmer than I expected, she said. I've been backstabbed by the people I trusted most. What's left to be afraid of? Evan hired a new PR team. They're going to try to spin the narrative. Try. The truth doesn't need a spin. She watched me for a long moment, then gave a faint smile. You know, it's rare to see someone keep their head when all of social media is cheering them on. I don't need their cheers. I need silence. After the truth has been loud enough for long enough, silence is the reward. 2 days later, Evan appeared on a local news broadcast, his face gaunt, his voice trembling. I am sorry for the pain I've caused. Everyone deserves to hear the full story. But when the reporter asked about the marriage certificate, he deflected. My lawyer will provide a clarification on that. Comments online exploded instantly. So fake. Admitting it. Poor Maya. The TV. I didn't need any more confirmation. That night, I opened the file, the reveal, MP4, and watched it one last time. My face in the frame blurry, hidden behind the glow of the stained glass. I remembered that moment, silent, observant, preparing. I wasn't hiding anymore. I wasn't a witness. I was the one ending the story. Tomorrow was the first hearing. Evan would have to face me. Not as the betrayed wife, but as the woman who turned her pain into a weapon. The Travis County Courthouse was packed that morning. Press, cameras, and curious faces crowded the entrance. I stepped out of the car, clutching my folder. Harper walked beside me, her gaze as cold as steel. No statements outside the courtroom, she reminded me. I'll only speak when necessary, not a word more. Inside the courtroom, Evan sat at the opposing table. Sloane was beside him, dark circles under her eyes, a hand resting on her stomach as if to steady herself. My parents sat behind them, refusing to look in my direction. The feeling wasn't pain. It was emptiness. The judge's gavel struck. The hearing between Maya Cole and Evan Rook is now in session. She rose, her voice clear. Your Honor, we present evidence proving the defendant used marital assets for personal gain, specifically to fund an illegal wedding ceremony with the plaintiff's own sister. Evan's lawyer interjected. Your Honor, this is a misunderstanding. Mr. Rook was under the impression that his first marriage was no longer valid. Harper cut him off. And what evidence suggests that marriage was terminated? I looked at Evan. He said nothing, just lowered his head. I pulled out a copy of our marriage certificate and held it up. This is his signature. The date, the location, the witnesses, it's all still valid. The sound of frantic typing filled the room as reporters recorded every detail. Evan remained silent. The judge looked at me. Miss Cole, what do you seek from these proceedings? I answered, not money, not fame. I only want the truth entered into the public record. He nodded. So noted. Harper submitted the rest of the file, which included the statements from Lone Star Credit Union, the receipts from Hawthorne Ridge Estate, and the video The Reveal, MP4. As the screen showed the frame of Evan placing the ring on Sloane's finger, the entire room fell silent. The opposing lawyer shot to his feet. Privacy. The judge's gavel slammed down. Admissible evidence. When the video reached its final line, every vow has a timestamp, Sloane began to cry. Evan looked up, meeting my eyes for the first time. His gaze was hollow, like a man who had seen his sentence before it was read. After a recess, the judge delivered his temporary ruling. The court finds the defendant's actions constitute financial fraud and deliberate infidelity. Temporary control of all joint assets is awarded to the plaintiff. The case file will be forwarded to the district attorney's office for review of potential fraud charges. I didn't smile or clap. I just gave a slight nod. Harper leaned in. You just won the first round. I replied quietly, not yet. I just got my voice back. As we left the courthouse, the media swarmed around us. I walked past them without a word. One voice called out, "Maya, do you have any regrets?" I paused for half a second. I regret that I believed for so long. I kept walking, without looking back. The Austin sky was a pale blue. The wind carried the scent of ink and paper, cold, real, and clean. 6 months after the hearing, Austin had quieted down. The press had moved on to other stories, and I had returned to my shifts at the Children's Medical Center. The kids didn't know, and didn't need to know, that I was once a headline. They just called me Nurse Maya and asked when I'd tell another ghost story in the waiting room. On the wall of the break room, my calendar was filled with work days. I added a small note, June 14, case closed. I had sent a text. Evan received 18 months probation and was ordered to repay 80% of the assets. Sloan was fired from her firm and had her license suspended for providing false information to the press. I looked at the words, feeling neither joy nor satisfaction, just balance. Everything had returned to its proper place. That afternoon, I went to the Riverside Cafe where I had met Dana. She walked in, carrying a printout of her final article. You read it? Sure, I want to. It's not a scandal piece anymore. It's an analysis of how women reclaim control. Pushed the paper toward me. The headline read, Maya Cole, The Power of Silence. Slowly, Dana was right. I hadn't won with noise, but with proof. After she left, I sat alone. The river lapped against the bank like a long, slow breath. Just then, Caleb Hart, a high school teacher I'd met at the hospital, walked over, holding a coffee. "I read about you," he said. "The real news. Real is always good." I smiled faintly. I don't want people to remember me for that story. Write a new one. That night, I went home, opened the closet, and took out the folders labeled Case 1 and Case 2. I peeled off the labels and tore up every old bank statement. The sound of ripping paper was clean and final. I kept only one thing, a photocopy of the marriage certificate, the first and last piece of evidence. I folded it in half and sealed it in an envelope. Outside, I wrote, "The reason I survived." A week later, a letter from Sloan arrived. A single, handwritten page. "You were right. You won. But if you could ever see me one day, I want to apologize." I read it, folded it, and didn't reply. Forgiveness isn't an obligation. Sometimes silence is the only logical end. On Sunday morning, I pulled my car out of the lot. The early breeze carried the scent of freshly cut grass. The city felt bigger, brighter. I stopped at a red light and looked in the rearview mirror. I couldn't see street. Augustine's, or my old house, or the wedding. I only saw myself no longer trembling. When the light turned green, I drove on, carrying a new life with me.